If you're a fan of NASCAR, you won't want to miss this explosive video. In the latest development, some team owners have skipped a crucial meeting with series officials, and the reason why is causing a stir in the racing community. The two parties appear to be at odds over ongoing charters, an essential part of NASCAR's revenue model. In this video on NASCAR Zone, we'll go with the specifics of what's causing this split, as well as the repercussions for the sport's future. But before we dive into that, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. A top group of dissatisfied NASCAR team owners missed a meeting with series officials on Wednesday. The two sides are at a standstill over permanent charters, which are a key part of how the stock car series makes money. The Team Owner Council informed NASCAR that it felt talks should be postponed because it feared the meeting would be hijacked by conversation entirely on the charters, which are multi-million-dollar guarantees of having a car in NASCAR's top Cup Series. NASCAR said it was going to hold the meeting anyway, but the teams didn't show up, said Curtis Polk, a part owner of 2311 Racing and one of 4 people on a negotiating group that is trying to come up with a new business plan for the country's top racing series. Dave Alpern, the president of Joe Gibbs Racing, was quoted as saying, "It was evident that if we got the whole group together, that was going to be the only topic that anyone wanted to talk about, and that is generally not constructive." The members of the council that are in charge of representing all of the teams are Alpern, Polk, Jeff Gordon of Hendrick Motorsports, and Steve Newmark of RFK Racing. The owners went public with their frustrations about what they see as a broken business model in which racetracks in NASCAR make most of the money, and teams have to get money from outside sponsors to run their organizations. In a phone interview with the Associated Press, Alpern and Polk said that they have made a lot of progress with NASCAR on many important issues, but that they have hit a significant impasse on the charters. In 2016, NASCAR introduced a charter system for 36 cars that are as close as possible to a franchise model for a sport that was started by the France family and is still privately owned by them. The charters provide the teams with something of worth that they may either keep or sell, so safeguarding the investment that they have made in the sport. The charters can be renewed, but NASCAR reserves the right to revoke them if a team fails to perform satisfactorily over a specified period of time. The present charters are valid through the conclusion of the 2024 racing season. It appears that NASCAR is refusing to even consider the subject, despite the fact that the racing teams want the charters to become permanent. The rest of the structure is constructed on top of this foundation. What good would it do to have the moon if they could take it away from you regularly, even if they gave it to you in the first place? Polk revealed to AP. NASCAR has stated that it is willing to work with the teams on ensuring their financial security. NASCAR said in a statement, NASCAR is committed to open and productive dialogue on a regular basis with all industry stakeholders. We remain committed to continuing discussions in the spirit of collaboration and with a shared goal of growing our sport for the benefit of all stakeholders. What are your thoughts on this bold move of NASCAR team owners? Tell us in the comments. Be sure to hit the bell button and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. The argument took place after every member of the Race Team Alliance participated in a call on Tuesday to go through themes that would be covered in the more in-depth meeting with NASCAR. The RTA is made up of all 16 teams, and each team is free to send as many representatives as they see fit to participate in the conference calls. When it became clear on the call, with more than 50 participants, that the RTA wanted just the topic of permanent charters to be addressed, the smaller negotiating group advised NASCAR that its meeting should be postponed. Only one team owner and one executive from each of the 16 chartered teams are permitted to participate in the talks with NASCAR. When asked about what comes after this, Polk responded, "We're ready to meet. We are interested in striking a deal." However, he reaffirmed that discussions need to commence on permanent charters. During the course of the months-long negotiations, Alpern and Polk declined to reveal the specifics of how teams have gained traction with NASCAR. NASCAR has maintained that teams earn approximately 40% of the income generated across the business as a whole. According to NASCAR, the financial distribution from the $8.2 billion broadcast rights contract that was negotiated prior to the 2015 season is as follows. 65% goes to the tracks, 25% goes to the teams, and 10% goes to NASCAR. There are two primary track operators, NASCAR and Speedway Motorsports. NASCAR owns the majority of the venues on the Cup Series calendar, including the crown jewel Daytona International Speedway, and the France family owns NASCAR. Speedway Motorsports owns the bulk of the tracks in the Xfinity Series. Teams have stated that they have become full-time fundraisers, seeking funding to keep their organizations afloat, and that the only possible place to make more budget cuts is through the practice of laying off employees. The teams disclosed in October of last year that sponsorship accounts for 60 to 80% of the budgets for all 16 chartered organizations. Because sponsorship plays such an important role, teams are looking for any other kind of financial relief they can find and have turned to NASCAR for assistance in covering baseline costs. In February, the president of NASCAR, Steve Phelps, expressed optimism to the Associated Press that a solution could be found. "We have said publicly, and we will continue to say publicly, that we need to have financially healthy race teams," Phelps said then. "Financially healthy race teams will put a better product on the racetrack, and that's great for the sport overall." The current charter agreement is set to expire at the same time that NASCAR's television negotiations are scheduled to run their course. The National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, NASCAR, is currently in the midst of exclusive contract renewal negotiations with both Fox Sports and NBC Sports. According to Phelps, who spoke with the AP, the exclusive period will end on May 1, and following that date, NASCAR will be free to negotiate television rights arrangements with other parties. And being ignored by the teams was only the beginning. Later that day, the National Motorsports Appeals Panel overturned the sanctioning body's initial penalty judgment and reduced the term in the Colleague Racing Louvers case. The three-person panel upheld the $100,000 fine, the loss of 10 playoff points for the owner and driver, and Trent Owens' 4-race suspension. However, the original penalty during the regular season, which was 100 driver and owner points, was reduced to 75. Even though that was a reduction and meant that NASCAR got it wrong the first time, it was nothing compared to what happened last week when another panel ruled on the Hendrick Motorsports Louvers case and upheld the combined $400,000 fine and crew chief suspensions, but overturned the most important part of the punishment and gave all the points back. On Wednesday, NASCAR had more terrible news than just those two things. On Tuesday, the TV numbers for last weekend's race at Richmond were released. This is when things began to worsen. But that wasn't the worst that could have happened. Even worse, since the clash at the Coliseum, the number of people watching TV has dropped sharply as a whole. The Richmond race isn't the finest example because it was FS1's inaugural Sunday event. It was 41.8% less than the previous year's spring race on the 3/4 mile course, which aired on Fox. It was still 11.9% less than last year's inaugural Sunday race on FS1. It's a warning indication of something far worse. All of the numbers in the first 8 races of the season are lower than they were last year. The Clash, 14.8%. Las Vegas, 12.2%. Phoenix, 15.1%. Atlanta, 14.5%. And COTA, 16.6%, for example, have all seen their watching figures decline by more than 10%. Maybe the Bristol dirt can at least keep the number of viewers from dropping. Or it could simply be more dirt thrown in the face of NASCAR. Sunday's race in Bristol, Tennessee, will be the 8th race of the 2023 NASCAR season. It will be the 3rd time since its start that the next-gen car will be used. The banking on the track ranges from 22 to 24 degrees at the bends and from 9 to 9 degrees on the straights. So that is for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us in the comments what you think about the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.